White House officials are leaning towards a plan that would tie student loan debt cancellation to the $125,000 income threshold, as well as considering the possibility of additional forgiveness for specific subsets of the population. Yeah, it is. No, not good. That's what it looks like, though. They said that it's not just CNN, also Bloomberg, a couple of other. They said that some low-income borrowers, for instance, who receive Pell Grants could get a higher amount of debt forgiveness. A new analysis, they said the Penn Wharton budget model, they estimated that forgiving student loan debt for this income demo could cost between $300 and $980 billion over 10 years. And the majority of the relief from the Penn Wharton budget model notes that the majority of said relief is actually going to go towards the 13% of Americans that have student loan debt. They're in the top 60% of earners. So you're making everyone else, including blue collar workers, you're forcing them to be co-signers on your debt that you voluntarily chose to get into. So, even, believe it or not, Larry Summers, who was under Obama, said that he said that it's going to raise inflation. Of course it's going to raise inflation. The CBO has said this. Penn Wharton has said this. Everyone has said it's going to raise inflation because it's going to. They're still working out some of the final details, but apparently tomorrow is when this is all going to come out, is when they're going to make the official announcement. They said outside the baseline forgiveness of $10,000 per borrower, meeting a specific income threshold, sources said that the administration is also weighing the possibility of additional forgiveness. I don't have any details on that, though. They haven't included that. I mean, the analysis from Penn Wharton is that 69 to 73% of student debt forgiveness actually goes towards the households in the top 60% of the U.S. with U.S. income. I know. This is sort of the absolute opposite of kind of the working man sort of. You're creating kind of an American nobility because you're forcing blue collar workers to subsidize the ridiculous, exorbitant college education of the people who are in the upper classes. That's exactly what this is. People who decided that they were going to take out debts that they had no intention of actually satisfying. And yet everyone else, that doesn't sound like a move of a party that is of the common man. And of course there's going to be a backlash to this. So apparently that's what they're looking to announce tomorrow. I'm amazed at this. So this is, depending on what he announces, I mean, you're looking at billions. Any sort of, let's just for 1 second entertain the idea that the inflation bill that he had signed is actually going to reduce inflation. It's actually going to set it back. How many years did they say? 6 to 9 years, I think, is what it was. So really, it's just a giant giveaway. And everybody knows you don't cancel loans. I mean, how do people think that this? What do they think happens? You don't just cancel loans. Someone's got to get paid, right? They're absorbed by the taxpayer. All of that tuition is just absorbed by everybody else. You know, the guy who decides that he's going to take his God-given gifts and he's going to go to trade school and he's going to hone his skill and he's going to do an apprenticeship and then he's going to go and whether he works as, a welder or steel worker, whatever, he's going to have to, you're going to force this guy to pay for the college tuition of someone who didn't make smart choices like he did and decided to go and get themselves in a ton of debt. And then one of their first acts as an adult was to accrue a ton of debt for probably a humanities degree. And then they don't want to fulfill the terms of that debt. And so the response is to make everyone else absorb it. Those are their first actions as an adult. And you realize, too, one of the other things that they were flirting with as part of their plan was to completely clean the slate. So none of this stuff would stay on their any kind of permanent records for these people. They would be able to go and probably get themselves into more debt in the future. Wow. I mean, it's out of all of the most irresponsible things. This is the prevalence of this And they said that White House staffers, do you know White House staffers currently in the administration have about $4.7 million in loans? How is that our fault? I mean, and so you would have Biden actually lifting the loan. How is that legal? If Biden lifts the loan obligations of his own staffers, that doesn't seem as though that's actually legal. I know there are some who say it's actually a violation of 18 U.S.C. 208, but no, this would be unprecedented. So far it's been in place for 30 months, but I mean, and the Department of Education already miscalculated the student loan spending, according to one watchdog. There was an analysis also from the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget that found cancellation is going to boost inflation by over 0.5 point. That's the federalization of student loans skyrocketed the cost of tuition. In 2017, there was a study that was conducted, it's got NewYorkFed.org, by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They found that subsidized loans contributed to what they called a pass-through effect on tuition. It was about 60 cents on the dollar, with the effect more pronounced at private colleges. So does this also too mean every single president is going to have to face the question of, are you going to cancel student debt? Is this going to be something that comes up with every single person who is elected to the executive office? I mean, it's, I don't know. Some of the individuals that protest this, I don't think that they understand exactly how they all say, oh no, you're canceling the loans. I think this is rewarding bad behavior. I do. It's not a responsible thing. I completely reject that argument. Times are not any different now than they were when I was in college. I didn't take out crazy loans. I don't pay for it unless I got the cash to do it. People need to work hard and not think that there's going to be the safety net from Uncle Sam every single time. That's the thrill of freedom.